Welcome to Online Storytime with Mrs. Venable. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hi everyone, I am Miss Venable, the Library Media Specialist at Mount Olive Primary School. I just want to give a shout out to all my MOPS Cubs that are watching from home. I miss seeing you all so much, and I hope that you and your families are safe and well. Even though we can't be together in the library at school right now, I'm so happy to be able to share some storytime videos with you here on this YouTube channel. Look for new videos posted every Wednesday through the end of the school year. I also want to say this video is being produced with permission from Scholastic, and I want to say thank you so much to Scholastic for allowing their books to be read aloud virtually during this unexpected time of school closures. Also during this video, I will ask you some before and after questions about our book. Feel free to pause the video to think about these questions and to talk about them with your family. I'll also have the questions included in the comment section at the bottom of the video. Today we're going to be reading one of my very favorite books. It is called Dog Breath, The Horrible Trouble with Hally Tosis. It's all about a family who has a very special dog with a very big problem. I can't wait to share it with you. Thanks so much for joining me today at Storytime. Before we read our book, I have a few questions for you to consider to get ready to hear the story. First, do you have a pet at home? Describe your pet. What makes your pet special? Next, look at the picture and read the title on the front cover of this book. Our book this week is Dog Breath, The Horrible Trouble with Hally Tosis, and it was written and illustrated by Dav Pilkey, the creator of Captain Underpants and Dogman. The word halitosis is a medical word for the condition of having breath that smells really bad. Now that you know that word, what do you predict this book will be mostly all about? Take a minute to think to yourself, or you can discuss it with a family member. This is a special copy of this book because it was autographed by the author and illustrator, Dav Pilkey. There once was a dog named Hally who lived with the Tosis family. Hally Tosis was a very good dog, but she had a big problem. Hally Tosis had horrible breath. Whenever Hally Tosis opened her mouth, horrible things happened. When the children took Hally Tosis for a walk, everyone else walked on the other side of the street. Even skunks avoided Hally Tosis. But the real trouble started one day when Grandma Tosis stopped by for a cup of tea, and Hally jumped up to say hello. Mr. and Mrs. Tosis were not amused. "Something has to be done about that smelly dog," they said. The next day, Mr. and Mrs. Tosis decided to find a new home for Hally. Free dog to a good home. The children knew that the only way they could save their dog was to get rid of her bad breath. So they took Hally Tosis to the top of a mountain that had a breathtaking view. They hoped that the breathtaking view would take Hally's breath away, but it didn't. Next, the children took Hally Tosis to a very exciting movie. They hoped that all the excitement would leave Hally breathless. But it didn't. Finally, the children took Hally Tosis to a carnival. They hoped that Hally would lose her breath on the speedy roller coaster. But that idea stunk too. The plans to change Hally's bad breath had failed. Now only a miracle could save Hally Tosis. Sadly, the three friends said goodnight, unaware that a miracle was just on the horizon. Later that night, when everyone was sound asleep, two sneaky burglars crept into the Tosis house. The two burglars were tiptoeing through the dark, quiet rooms when suddenly they came upon Hally Tosis. "Yikes!" whispered one burglar. "It's a big, mean, scary dog." "Oh, don't be silly," whispered the other burglar. "That's only a cute little fuzzy puppy." The two burglars giggled at the sight of such a friendly little dog. "That dog couldn't hurt a fly," whispered one burglar. "Come here, Poochie Poochie," whispered the other. So Hally Tosis came over and gave the burglars a nice big kiss. The next morning, the Tosis family awoke to find two burglars passed out cold on their living room floor. It was a miracle. The Tosis family got a big reward for turning in the crooks, and soon Hally Tosis was the most famous crime-fighting dog in the country. In the end, Mr. and Mrs. Tosis changed their minds about finding a new home for Hally. They decided to keep their wonderful watchdog after all. This home protected by dog breath. Because life without Hally Tosis just wouldn't make any sense. Now that we've read our story, we have a few after reading questions for you to consider. You can think about the answers to these in your head, or you can talk about them with a family member. What problem did Hally Tosis and her family face in this story? What solutions did the children try to solve Hally's problem? How did Hally save the day in the story? How did Mr. and Mrs. Tosis change from the beginning of the story to the end? Do you believe that the Tosis family loves Hally? Why or why not? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. We also have an extension activity for those of you who want to take our book just a step further. You can draw a picture and write a story about your pet saving the day, just like Hally Tosis saved the day for her family. You can write and draw about a pet that you have at your house, or you can imagine a pet. Ask your parents to email your story to me at venableb@russellcsd.net, or they can post it on the Mount Olive Primary School Facebook page, and I might just share it on next week's story time. Thanks so much for tuning in to Storytime today. Be sure to look for new Storytime videos posted every Wednesday on this YouTube channel or the Mount Olive Primary School Facebook page. Next week, we'll be reading The Very Impatient Caterpillar by Burak. Happy reading! Love, Miss Venable.